This is Jake Ciely, and I'm the blown ACL that ruins your football season.
Good news, everyone! Let's get dangerous.
This is so cool!
I know.
It feels so right!
It's Jake Ciely.
I'm sorry, who is this?
Nice try, Moonman. Pretending not to know. Earth's greatest mastermind!
You just made the list!
I thought you said that was a myth.
Just because it's a myth doesn't mean it's not true.
If you all blindly follow my plan, we may have a chance.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
Game on, you Ducks. It's week 8 and the wrap-up for injuries. Thursday Night Football, late news, start sits, all that good stuff. And I figured I'd include some of your questions from the comments over The Athletic. So that's one benefit of listening to this and also commenting or back and forth or whichever way you want to look at. I don't know which way you want to take it, but good thing for you guys. Whatever. Thursday Night Football. Well, there's a giant question coming out of that one. And a giant performance by a pretty giant player, and Oronde Gadsden. And everybody's, how real is he? Is he top 5? Is he here to stay? And, of course, what that meant with the breakout is the big fat 0 from Quentin Johnston, who I just traded for a week ago. So you're welcome on that, because I just curse everybody. That's just what happens. But on the Gadsden front, look, the truth is Gadsden is a very dynamic tight end. He is a major threat. If you read my draft profile, I did a lot of smash-ups this year, and the smash-up for him was Mark Andrews and Kellen Winslow. And I called him Mark Winslow because it kind of sounded like somebody that should be on Family Matters. Good old TGIF, even though there was no Mark Winslow. But the point being is, hell, the good Mark Andrews or Kellen Winslow, pretty damn good tight end. He's somebody that moved from wide receiver. He's somebody that struggles with blocking because he transitioned to the position, which is why he wasn't a second or third rounder. He also had injuries. He also came from Syracuse. So there's a lot of factors involved. That all being said, too, it helps being on a team who also had a bunch of injuries that opened things up for him, especially particularly at the tight end position. And then Quentin Johnston getting hurt recently. All those factored in. And I'm not dismissing anything Gadsden's done. I'm just saying half the other teams in the league, nobody's even whispering the name Oronde Gadsden. Point is here. Is the same that I brought up earlier this year with Luther Burden and kind of tried to squash the excitement or the overexcitement for Luther Burden. I brought up in the waiver column and talked about all the times throughout history, and all is not a very big word, or the right word in this sense, of 5 times, and only like 3 of them over 1,000 yards for 3 different receiving options in the same team, and to include 900 yards plus for 3 options. They often did include tight ends. So that's a benefit for Gadsden. But the point here is that we started the season where Ladd wasn't involved a lot, and Ladd McConkey was a disappointment, and then we transitioned to Keenan Allen, and now we're transitioning to Quentin Johnston. Gadsden's going to come at some point.
Hey, phrasing!
And that's the point here. Yes, grab Gadsden. Yes, if you already have him, start him every single week. He's a top 10 tight end. He's getting the opportunities. He's a major red zone and end zone threat, which is why in the waivers I said the big concern for him, despite the fact that he play obviously different positions in different areas of the field, is that Quentin Johnston could lose the touchdown appeal, which is carrying some of his value. So all that being said, expect some bad weeks. If it comes next week, in week 9, and Gadsden puts up 2 for 27, keep him out there. This is what I talk about a lot with tight ends. I talked about it earlier this week on the mid-show of the week, and I said tight ends are inconsistent out of a handful of guys, and I mean count on one hand amount of guys. So excited for Gadsden, but don't go bonkers. That being said, also, if you have like a Trey McBride and you picked him up, or Tyler Warren and you picked him up, I would float Gadsden out there first. The excitement is going to be off the charts. It is off the charts. You could probably get around the same return as you can for those 2 tight ends. But if you can't and you need some really major help, you could trade either one if you're getting top 15, maybe top 20. And again, if you really need some help at running back or wide receiver. But I would push hard to just try and trade Gadsden. He's not going to be Warren. He's not going to be Trey McBride. But it'll be close, and it'll be in the conversation. It might even be George Kittle, because George Kittle with Christian McCaffrey is more inconsistent than George Kittle without Christian McCaffrey. But all right, let's talk week 8 and the fact that, speaking of the 49ers, there's a good transition for myself. Mac Jones is back at quarterback again. Gives some appeal to Kendrick Bourne, even though I do believe that when Juwan Jennings is healthy, but that's always a question as how healthy is Juwan Jennings, that Kendrick Bourne is in play, especially 6 teams in a bye, especially a lot of injuries. But Mac Jones at quarterback obviously helps him. Lamar Jackson is questionable. You need a backup plan. It sounds seriously questionable. I actually even lean towards they might be trying to force him out there because their record is still only involving one win and they need him. So I bring that up to say this. He has more risk if he starts than he normally would, that being Lamar Jackson, obviously. So backup plan, and then even if he starts, I can imagine you have a better option. He's going to be inside my top 5 if he's starting. But yeah, just be ready for it, potentially. Michael Penix is questionable with his knee. Doesn't sound like the hand's really an issue anymore, but that one, I wouldn't be relying on Penix outside of Superflex if you're desperate and you might need a backup plan there. And Darnell Mooney is fine, but Darnell Mooney really hasn't been a thing. Darnell Mooney's been more of a thing to annoy Drake London than be a thing himself. Andy Dalton is in for the Panthers. You guys probably already knew that, but pretty much official at this point. Tyrod Taylor is questionable. Aaron Glenn does not want to answer who's going to be starting, which means who the hell knows? Who the hell really cares? You don't want to start either one of them in Superflex. Outside of Superflex is what I meant. But even so, if Taylor starts, I could see him getting yanked. If Fields starts, I can see him getting yanked. This is just, where's Steve Spurrier when you need him? This is what's going to happen here. They're going to get both quarterbacks back and forth. They're going to alternate drives. Anyway, running backs, DeAndre Swift is questionable just like last week, so he should be fine. But Roshan Johnson is out, which gives even more appeal to Colin Monangai. If it's not Lamar Jackson, Monangai definitely playing him. But if the Ravens just start gobsmacking the Bears, we could see way less of Monangai. But again, no Roshan Johnson, so that definitely helps. An interesting one that a lot of people probably would have been thinking they were throwing right in this lineup this week because of the matchup is Tyler Algier, but seriously questionable too for him. Never had a full practice in, dealing with hip and knee injuries. He gets the Dolphins. Everybody wants to start Tyler Algier. If he starts, you can play him as an RB3, but there is some risk, obviously, there. If he is out, holy crap, Bijan Robinson to the moon, 200-plus yards for the day. Breece Hall is questionable, dealing with the knee. Sounds like he's going to be fine, but also one with the trade talks and everything like that. Does he play the full game? Go back to the quarterback situation. The Jets are a mess. By the way, Garrett Wilson is officially out. He's actually was expected to be out. I didn't have him in the ranks. And is that for, yes, that's it for running back. So let's jump to wide receiver. Jalen Waddle is off the injury report. I know there's some talks about whether they were going to trade him, but they said pretty much no, it's not happening. So Jalen Waddle at quarterback, tough matchup with the Falcons, but you have to play him this week. It's just, again, 6 teams in a bye, billion people hurt. What choices do you have? Speaking of being hurt, A.J. Brown is also officially out. So Devontae Smith, big boost. If you want to, in a deeper league, and take a super flyer on Jahan Dotson, I mean, it has nothing to do with the fact that I like John Dotson. It's just the fact that next man up there. Although, similar to the Giants before, you never know, they might tweak something, but the big beneficiary is Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert is the big play at tight end there, so that definitely helps. Maybe we can get Saquon Barkley going and get him a top 10 finish for a change. What else do we have at wide receiver? Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin are both practicing full, both ready to roll against the Chiefs, so you can get them both in your lineup, to say both again. Packers, Dontavian Wicks is out. Christian Watson is possibly returning. And now we have officially heard, similar to the comment, somebody asked, and they're like, oh, it could be on a pitch count, that being Christian Watson. It hadn't come from the team, but now it did come from LaFleur. So probably going to have Golden in front of Watson. It originally had Watson in front of Golden if it was going to be a full workload or close to it. But that being said, one to be watching until we get to kickoff on Sunday. And unfortunately, we might not have news, so you need to make a backup plan because this is the Sunday night game, and now Matthew Golden popped up in the injury report on Friday. So potentially messy situation there. I would not wait on Golden without a backup plan. And your backup plans are the Commanders, Chiefs, and Steelers. So either highly rostered or not a lot of options left. Good news, though. Good news, everybody. Stephon Diggs, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Josh Downs, Darius Slayton, Emeka Ibuka, Drake London, and as mentioned before, Darnell Mooney are all cleared and off their injury reports. Obviously, the biggest and most excitement there is Ibuka and London, but especially Ibuka. DJ Moore, been consistent floor. Downs, kind of a floor. Olave, great, and probably actually very close to a wide receiver 1 this week, given all the injuries. Diggs, yay. Slayton, if you're desperate against the Eagles, now that he's back, and the number 2 to Wan'Dale Robinson being the 1. And then lastly, at tight end, Dalton Kincaid is questionable. This one is really iffy, but at least we have the answer by 1 o'clock, so have a backup plan just in case, which might be even David Njoku if he returns, but if David Njoku's out, Harold Fannin has a boost, and I think that's pretty much about it. Oh, I promised some answers to questions. Well, I answered one of the questions with the Oronde Gadsden thing. And then the Lamar Jackson one was another one of those questions. I think one of them was Joe. I don't remember who the other one was. Maybe next time I'll actually write down the questions. That'll be a good idea. I'll answer more of your questions on the podcast, and I'll actually give you credit for who asked it and talk about it. So that being said, we'll be back on Monday for the wrap-up whole Sunday, the live Discord chat with video. You can jump in over and get questions answered. And good luck in week 8 because everybody needs a hell of it. And or a hell of a lot of it. Need a lot because I have a big fat 0, just like the rest of you people who started Quentin Johnston. Boo.